Hi everyone, it's Erin from Vitae Sports here, and today we'll be interviewing Toby Radford. I hope you enjoy, and don't forget to smash that subscribe button and hit the bell. It's over to you, Darren.
Toby, great to see you, mate. How are you coping?
We're all right. No, I'm getting a little bit sick of the sight of the house and the back garden, but other than that, no. Look, been really lucky. I think that the weather's been so good for this time of year. I mean, if it had been wet with a 5-year-old indoors for the last 4 weeks, I think that could have been tough. But we've been lucky to get out in the back garden and keep him busy and get through it so far.
Yeah, I can imagine. Are you doing a bit of coaching with the children while you're there?
Well, he's not really into his cricket, so I sort of get a football out. He's hitting a few tennis balls. Occasionally I'll throw the odd cricket ball in just to see if he bites, but it's a bit of everything other at the moment. To be honest, I'm very much, let them see what they enjoy doing and find out what their flair is for. And, he might go down a different route altogether, but yeah, just sort of keeping him busy, keeping him active.
Good, mate, good. And I guess you'll be keen to get back in action, will you, when the season hopefully gets underway in the hopeful near future?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just before the lockdown, I was doing a fair bit with ECB on the coach education side. So just been delivering the batting on a few of those level 3s. And we had one due in Derby, which was pulled, I think, just a week before the lockdown. I was due to go and run a batting camp out in Dubai. So I'm hoping that might still happen later in the summer. It's always a great place to go and try to develop things out there. So, yeah, look, like everyone, I mean, just chomping at the bit to get going and trying to get my taste of cricket by watching videos and any other way I can get it, even hitting my own balls in the back garden just to keep the fun there,
Yeah, good. Toby, you obviously had some fantastic experiences throughout your playing and coaching career. You've just had a good spell out in the West Indies. Tell us a bit about that and how you see West Indies cricket shaping up.
Yeah, I mean, West Indies for me, I mean, I first went out there back in 2010. And I went out and set up their equivalent of a national academy. And the idea was to get all their best young players from all the different islands together, put a program for them and sort of keep them in situ and work with them. And it was the tough part of going and living in Barbados. It was really tough, that was awful. So yeah, jet skiing every night at 5 o'clock after you finished coaching. So, but it was brilliant. And we had 12 or 13 high-end, 19, 20-year-old players. I mean, I had a young Jason Holder, Shannon Gabriel, Shane Dowrich. So a lot of those lads who've now come through and become bona fide international cricketers in Test and one-day cricket and done really, really well. So it's been great to sort of start the journey with them and see them as youngsters and then having the opportunity to grow, going into the main side, working as a batting coach and assistant coach. Firstly with Otis Gibson, and then with Richard Piber, Stuart Law. So I've had 2 or 3 different head coaches I've worked with. But to see those players develop and, as I say, now become sort of, regular international cricketers, I think it's been fantastic. Lovely part of the world, great people, great fun, but probably not as laid back as some think. I mean, a lot of them do work very, very hard, love their practice, love their cricket. I just really enjoyed the environment and, some great highs along the way with West Indies. With 2012, we won the T20 World Cup in Sri Lanka. It was a fantastic night. The couple of big wins over England here in a couple of years ago at Headingley was a fantastic test match where Shea Hope got 200s. And then last winter, actually beating them in a series out in the Caribbean. I think first time I think it was over 18 years that the West Indies had beaten England in a test series. So to be a part of that and with that group of guys, as I say, that I kind of, friends really as well as players, was fantastic part of the career.
Great. I mean, sorry, Tim.
No, I was going to say in terms of where they're going now. I mean, I think what West Indies cricket want is consistency. We've clearly shown over recent years that we can match and beat the best. There's no doubt about it. And on any given day, in any format, really, West Indies, if they turn up, can beat anyone. I think it's doing it on a more consistent basis, and the players know that. And that comes, I think, from really training really hard, purposefully all the time, being very specific in the planning. and sticking with players as well, certainly young players. You know, you don't go into international cricket and score 100 straight away, or very few do that. So I think having a little bit of patience with young players as they develop and adjust to the level of international cricket. There's certainly some high-end players coming through. I mean, Puran, who players will have seen, you know, Hetmeyer, Hope, in those three fantastic young batters.
Yeah.
And clearly now they've brought some older guards back in. Pollard's come back in, Bravo's come back in for the shorter format. So the idea would be that, you know, the wise heads can develop those young players and then hand the baton on and let them run with it over the coming years. But I think the future does look positive and bright. There's still plenty of talent there, and it just needs harnessing and pushing in the right way, you know. Yeah.
Is the hunger what it was? I mean, obviously when we grew up, 1980s West Indies cricket was just unbelievable. You know, we decimated virtually everyone we played. And I know that, you know, we said that sort of other sports took over a little bit, but where would you say cricket is in terms of the West Indian psyche?
I think it's like everything. I think because the team had a period where it didn't win for 10, 15 years, or certainly not in the way it had in the 80s, you know, when Viv and Lloyd, Clive Lloyd and all of those greats. I think it's like anything. If the team isn't winning, people sort of drift away and they start to follow other things. But the minute they get a win again, they're all back. I mean, look, they want cricket to do well. It is still the sport of the islands. The minute you land in any of the islands, you know, the first thing the taxi driver talks about is cricket. And if they know you're involved in cricket, they've all got an opinion on it, on the team, on the selection, everything like that. So if they're doing well, people will come, they will watch, they'll follow it. And I suppose it was only that period where they started to drift away a little bit when it really did hit a big low, couldn't get a win against anyone. And I think there was a frustration in the public, but the interest is there and the support is there for sure. And when we've had the good days, honestly, they come out in their big numbers and they want the guys to do well, you know.
Great, yeah, it's much needed to have a West Indies flying high for cricket. Just moving away from the international cricket scene, you've got a really exciting project on now with your online batting booth. We've been following it. It looks fantastic, and particularly at this time, it could be very helpful to people. But you tell us a bit about that, Toby, and what made you do that.
It was. No, I mean, how it came about was when I was working with the West Indies players. I mean, normally you'd be on tour with them, you'd be in the nets with them all the time. So you're very much hands-on coaching. And then in the gaps between tours, I was still living in Cardiff. So I'd come back to the UK. They'd go back to their different islands. And the way of keeping in touch and on top of their game was for them to send videos through. And pretty much everyone these days got a mobile phone. Everyone's got WhatsApp. And they would send footage of their nets across. And I'd have a look at it. I'd make some comments. I'd sometimes take some little still shots and maybe draw a couple of pictures on. And the guys would say, "Oh, this is great. You know, really enjoy it, finding it useful." And then they're able to go and work on those things on their own until I see them. Yeah. And when this lockdown started, I thought, look, I've obviously got my hands-on coaching. I can't do at the moment, but I thought it might be nice to offer that same kind of product to players anywhere in the world at any level. So a club player, a school player. So I've put I think, you know, quite a nice low price on it, really, £25. It could be anywhere in the world, and on my site you could upload 5 minutes of your batting footage, and I would then personally analyse it, make my comments, draw any lines that need doing, go back with recommendations and drills to put little things right. So, and it's really, really taken off. I mean, it's had great publicity. South Africa, Australia, here, Caribbean, and I've had videos in from pretty much all around the world. I've had them in from India, Pakistan, New Zealand, really? And I woke up one morning last week, I had 10 new videos in there. So I'm in love going through them. It's a passion of mine anyway. So yeah. It's really great, and you know, hopefully more will keep taking it up, and potentially I think even, you know, bless when we all get through this lockdown, might be something I can still carry on running on the website and keep going in the future, you know.
Yeah, and so your target audience is literally anyone from almost just starting out to elite level.
Absolutely. I mean, I've had, you know, I still get videos in from Jason Holder, Jermaine Blackwood, who's been the #1 batter in the Caribbean this winter. He sends his stuff across. So I've got international players, and then club and academy players and young pros. you know, who just, you know, they might have a video from last season that they want looking at. They might be very lucky and have a net in the back garden. I had one last week from a house in Kent. This guy had a wonderful back garden for clearly plenty of money, and they had a great setup. Others, they were able to get on a bowling machine. Some of the guys in the Caribbean, they get on some concrete and with a net, and they set the machine up, and they can work in that. So there's social distancing in a net, and they send the footage across, you know.
You haven't had any where you've looked at them and thought, I don't even know where to start with this one yet, have you?
No, there's some way you've got, you know, you think, well, there's a lot to do. But I think, to be honest, there's always a couple of key things. And the key thing you're always looking for in coaching, isn't it, is that what's the root cause? You might see 7 or 8 things wrong here, but actually, are there one or two where if you get those right, like a set of dominoes, all the other things sort of take care of themselves. Yeah. So you can keep your message quite simple, and there aren't 8 things to worry about. There's actually only a couple, because all the others will look after themselves anyway, you know.
Yeah, great. So, I mean, just in terms of coaching, who were sort of biggest influences on your coaching career?
Well, when I played and I was at Middlesex and sort of Middlesex days, really, I used to go privately to see Les Lenham. And Les, some will know Les, we're getting on a bit now. I think he's still involved a little bit down at Sussex, but he was a great technician, Les. And Les was someone, he was involved with the ECB and did a lot of coach education for them and played for Sussex. And I think he was working privately with David Gower. I think Robin Smith used to go and see. So a lot of pros, he didn't often say they were seeing, but Les was a fantastic technician. And I learned a lot from him working with me. I think over the years, I think you pick different things off different people. So, you know, Bob Wilmer was outstanding. I spent a little bit of time with Bob. I think he was absolutely brilliant and ahead of his time, really. Yeah. And Bob had this wonderful thing of credibility of being a great player, but the qualities, the communication skills, and the understanding of technique, and he had both, and I think that's what made Bob that bit special for me. And then, as I say, I think, you know, someone like a Richard Pybus, less of a technician, but a wonderful manager, and good at setting direction, I think, for players and getting players to almost decide where they want to go, and therefore they get buy-in, and he gets players playing for his teams. That's what I've seen with him. And I thought that's what was very impressive with him last winter in that test series we were talking about. You know?
Yeah, of course, great. Toby, that's fantastic. Listen, really appreciate your time, mate. Best of luck with your project. It looks like it's fantastic. It's flying straight away. I'm sure it'll continue to grow. And we look forward to catching you soon, hopefully, mate.
Thanks, mate, and same to you. And hope everyone sort of stays safe and well, and we all get through this. And cricket will never be better when we get back playing it.
Yeah.
So, thanks again. Cheers, Darren.
Yeah, thanks, Toby. Thanks, everyone. Hope you enjoyed that feature with Toby. It was really interesting, and Toby's going to also be giving us some top batting tips, which we're going to use in a feature in the next few weeks with some of our other Vitae Sports stars, which are we're going to cover captaincy, we're going to cover bowling, fielding, wicket keeping, batting, obviously. So please look out for them. Also, head over to our Club Vitae site if you're a cricket club who's looking for any club professionals for the future summers as well. Thanks again.